स्वाध्याय टीवी डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaskar. Myself, Dr. AWA SHUKLA from Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. Hello friends. We have been discussing about print media. All of us have already discussed regarding the meaning, the types of print media, and now we are all very much well aware about the different types of print media. Just to have a recap, we all have discussed about books, newspapers, magazines, leaflets, pamphlets and other types of print media. Basically, looking into our Indian culture, we have been saying that print media reflects our culture, it reflects our reading habits for children, it reflects our adults and the people who value the printed material in the past. The books we read, the books we have. In the educational system also, we have very much well used and well equipped library wherein books are preserved in different forms with different types of teaching materials and teaching contents. The advantage of print media have been discussed, like it gives a reading habit, it is a habit forming, it gives detailed information, and many of them have been discussed in the previous classes. Now, when any kind of media has its advantages, it's also have their own disadvantages. Let us have a look on the disadvantages of print media. The first point given in the slide, we all can have a look in the slide, friends. The first point, as it says, is regarding the cost. The cost incurred can sometimes be expensive considering the medium you choose. It is a medium, friends. What medium you choose? When we say print media consists of different kind of mediums. As we can just have a look here, I have got some print media. You have this newspaper. It is completely 24-25 pages printed material we have. This is the Times of India, we can see. Here is a magazine, we all see. We all know, magazine of a regional language. We also have a booklet, information booklet. The types of pages in all kinds of print media we have seen here is different. See, the cover page only shows what is the quality of page, what is the expenses we can understand from this. So, at times it happens that the expenditure incurred where we want to share some information is higher to what we want to share, and people of all class, all creed, all medium are not efficient enough or capable enough to inculcate into this expenditure. Magazines, if we have in library, is usable, but individual purchase of different high quality magazines at times is difficult. Information booklet, yes, information booklet gives different kinds of information regarding any course or any medium or any kind of a company, corporate, a mall we may say, or maybe some institution where we want our kids or our youngsters or our family member to study. In that case, the cost incurred can be considered, but the cost to the company cannot be affordable many a times. The second disadvantage we can look in the slide is the shelf life of any particular print medium is limited. Newspapers, for example, are amongst the public eye only for a day. As we said, the shelf life of any particular medium. What does a shelf life mean? Shelf life resembles to the preservation of any kind of print media. Where do we keep when we purchase some print media? May it be a college, a school, or at a personal level, maybe at home. Where do you keep your printed material? Maybe this magazine, this booklet, where do we keep? We keep it in a shelf, we keep it in a cupboard, and for how long will we keep it? After some period of time, we will find it not worthy and we throw it away or we give it to a carter to sell it off. So, the shelf life at times is very much limited. So, considering the shelf life of a material, we provide with so much of material, we provide with detailed information about any kind of topic, about any kind of happenings in the day to day life, especially when we see the newspapers. The newspapers are read daily by the readers. The outreach of the newspapers is very much limited at times, but the information which we give in the newspapers is comparatively very much detailed. So, preserving these newspapers is very much difficult, as the paper quality and the cost is very much limited. We get many newspapers who are locally available of just 50 paisa, 1 rupee, 1.5 rupee or 2.5 rupees. So, depending upon the cost, we provide with the type of quality of papers, we give the printing cost. So, the preservation according to the paper, according to the quality is just shelf life, and the shelf life becomes very much limited. Now, let us have a look on the third point of the disadvantage. This medium may not always give you a wide reach. Internet, on the other hand, can target global audience. What do we understand by limited audience or limited readers? We all know the literacy level of our country. The literacy level of our country is very much limited, friends. The reading habits of the families is also very much restricted. Maybe very few people in a family are habituated to read nowadays. All the youngsters, all the school going kids are manic to mobile, manic to internet. They would like to see television more rather than reading anything. So, the readability has reduced, it has decreased. So, the outreach compared to the expenditure we are doing, compared to the information we are giving in a book, in a booklet, in a newspaper, we can say, is very much limited. Kids, youngsters or any group, even the females of the families, they would prefer to watch the ad in television or in a theater or in internet or on a mobile rather than reading something. So, when it comes to reading, the readability has reduced. The readability is very much limited or restricted. Along with the readability, friends, the second reason for maybe restriction is the language used. The language we use, at times we feel, we are confident that the language we use is very much friendly to the readers, but it is not all the times. The readers may feel very much unhabituated to some kind of words used, to some kind of phrases used, to some kind of terms and conditions. For example, if we have an information booklet, what do? We provide with all kinds of information in the booklet. Maybe if it is an educational institute, we provide with terms and conditions of admissions, we provide with the facilities provided, we provide with the fee structure of the institute, we provide with the location of the institute, but the readers at times, maybe the rural readers, maybe the readers who belong to slum areas, they are not able to understand. The newspapers, if we discuss, the articles in the newspapers, how much do they attract to maximum group of a reader is to be concentrated upon. Otherwise, it just limits to some class of people. There are different categories. There are people who are interested in reading political news. There are people who are interested in reading sports news. There are people who are interested in reading television or movies related news. There are people who may be attracted towards some magazines who relate to fashion field. So, there are different kind and categories of readers. Now, keeping in mind the categories of readers, the print media needs to decide upon its expenses, which is the first point in the disadvantage, the readability, the quality and the content to be delivered, the content to be printed in the material, because the printing cost affects, friends. When it is to the production side, it is waste of energy if the readers are not going to read, if the readers are not going to understand what you want to show, if the readers are not going to purchase your material. The things which we are providing them leads to total failure and total waste of different all kind of energies we have. Now, let us have a look on the next disadvantage of print media. There is a limitation in terms of kind of the people who may actually read the message. The particular newspaper may not actually provide or accessible time to your target group, which actually means your message may be missed. It is missing to the message. It is missing the information you want to provide to the people. The internet, on the other hand, can be accessed from anywhere and everywhere. This is again an important drawback of print media, friends. It may not be accessible to complete world. It may not be accessible to the actual target group at times. We have newspapers, as we just saw. See the Times of India. This is the Ahmedabad edition which I have with me. So, where does this newspaper reach? If it is just the newspaper, it may reach maximally to the places which surround Ahmedabad district, or maybe the region, on the whole maybe Gujarat state, many areas or many big districts of Gujarat state, because it is Ahmedabad. But when we talk about internet, if the internet is opened by any person, in internet we can read all kind of districts papers. So, the readability, the accessibility actually again restricts to the place where it is printed, to the place where it is delivered. At times it happens that many information are just limited to some place, to some people or to some target group, just because it is limited or it is restricted to particular region. There are many local newspapers. What are these local newspapers? At times they provide information which is more relevant, which is more authentic, which is more useful to the readers, but just being limited to local area. They cannot go out of the zone of that district. They cannot go out of the zone of that particular area or place, or they limit themselves to a village, maybe a city, maybe a state, wherein the information can be useful nationwide. So, such kind of informations and such kind of happenings are at times missed just because the accessibility of the readers is limited. Many a times it happens that the target group of information is somebody who is not able to read the newspaper or maybe the magazine or maybe any kind of a book. At that time what happens? The people who are actually targeted, they are avoided basically. They cannot read or they cannot access with the information which they are supposed to have. This is the basic limitation of print media, because if at all you want to give something which is productive, if at all you want to make the people avail with some kind of facilities even, some kind of projects even, you want to introduce something, what happens? That introduction is limited if it is not readable or if it is not in the reach of the target audience or target readers. So, the reading capability, the reading accessibility is to be considered, friends, when we talk about papers, magazines or any kind of books, even books. Yes, even books, the subject content, if you design a book, if you print a book, the content of the book should be useful to the readers and they should be easily access the book you are publishing, the book you are writing. If it does not reach to the desired target audience, the total book is a total failure. The content, you have taken efforts, you have taken very hard efforts for designing the content, for publishing the book, but if it does not reach to the readers, if it is not understood by the readers, it is a total failure. So, the accessibility at times is a disadvantage when it is print media. Let us have a look on the next disadvantage as shown in the slide. You may have to plan months in advance to advertise in print media. It does not offer you flexibility when you are faced with the deadline. When we say advertisement, friends, what do we understand by advertisement? You have to show something what you desire to publicize, what you desire to show to the public. It may be in terms of admissions, it may be in terms of any schemes, it may be in terms of any launching of a product, launching of some social service, launching of some social or public related schemes, or any banking systems, any postal systems, any movies, any serials, any kind of television program, any kind of internet introduction, any kind of different media introduction. If you want to do it through print media, you need to plan. You need to plan in terms of designing, you need to plan in terms of advertising, you need to plan in terms of giving it in print media. How do you give actually? You have to deliver, you have to design. You have to design the content, you have to design with the pictures, and you have to meet the deadlines also. At times it happens that due to limitation in the meeting of deadlines, we are not able to design or to deliver actually what is to be delivered. In a hurry or in a mess, we may miss many information. We see news programs. The news programs are so fast that print medias in nowadays are very much in hurry to print all the latest information. They want to provide with maximum information at the earliest, so that they are in competition with the other medias. So, in this period, what happens at times they are not able to meet the deadline, or if they want to meet the deadline, they miss something. So, it is always in a hurry, it is always in the messy kind of a situation that at times the printed things are to be completed. Even if you go for some article writing or maybe some chapter writing, what happens? It's time bound. You have to understand the time limit, you have to understand the type of information to be delivered, to the type of limited words to be used at times. When it is article, you cannot write history, geography, everything of a particular happening. You just have to focus, you just have to concentrate on the basic content that is to be delivered. What is the basic content about? What information should we give? How much information should we give, and in how much period of time? Even if we see in schools or in any kind of educational systems, we have standards. According to standards, we have our textbooks. What are those textbooks? They are designed in a format wherein a child has to learn these many chapters in 6 months, or maybe 3 months, or maybe for a term. How much content is to be delivered in that particular term? So, again it becomes time bound, again the limitations related to words, the limitation related to the understanding level of the children or the target group. So, we meet to the deadlines and we have to be in a hurry at times while delivering such information. But as far as possible, apart from newspapers or apart from magazines, these deadlines still have some time period. They have some flexibility in terms of content designing, in terms of content development. But when it is newspapers, they are printed daily, and so the meeting of deadline is important in case of newspapers, in terms of at times some magazines also, or some news articles which they print, right. Now, let us have a look on the next disadvantage. Advertisements may get lost in all the clutter of the editorial ads by the competitors. Thus, we can see there are certain pros and cons with print media. With proper planning, you can opt for the right form to gain maximum coverage and make the best of the medium. When you say advertisements, or when you say it is the printed material, when you say printed material, what is printed material or advertisements? This is the last 2 points which we are talking about. It does not offer you flexibility when you are faced with a tight deadline, and then comes printed matter may get lost in all the clutter of editorial and ads by the competitors. Have you had a look in different magazines or newspapers? What normally happens? I will just show you one example. See this. What is this? We have maximum portion covered with the advertisement part, and the area given to the printed material is lesser. What happens in such cases? We have more looks on the advertisement part rather than the content material. Advertisements have their own importance. printed material has its own importance. So, the print media has to have a look on exactly what it wants to deliver. Whether they want the readers to read the advertisement, focus more on that. Whether you want to make the readers read the content, focus on that. What exactly you want to show to your readers matters, friends. When you say advertisements are again an important part of print media like newspapers, magazines, because they have their own importance. They attract the readers at times. They attract them to read what's new in the market, what's new in the consumer section. So, advertisements are important, but one needs to take care while publishing, while printing, that the pictures or the advertisement does not overpower to the written content. The written content is equally important. The written content is equally readable by the readers. When you say readable by the readers, how is it? If you are flashing some important news, maybe what was the latest news in last some days? Last some days it was about Kalamji, death of Kalamji. Equally important was the news of hanging of Yaqub. Both were on same days, the funeral of Kalamji and hanging of Yaqub. How to weigh both the news? How to print both the news? Do you feel that along with these news, we can put some ad on the front page? No. You need the readers to read. The readers will be more anxious to read about the happenings, how it happened, what exactly happened, how many people visited both the places or to both the deaths, what was people's response to both the funerals, what was people's response to both the happenings is equally important. Maybe there is some celebrity coming in a city, in your city rather, you would like, and you were in the first row of that event. What will you search for in the newspapers? You will search for your picture along with the celebrity maybe, or maybe in the target audience. So, the print material always has to be designed looking into the weightage, looking into the importance of what it is about. What the importance or what is the weightage. The written portion should not get lost in the picture part. It should have balanced proportion. It should have balanced review of both the things. If the written part is more important, you feel that people or readers need to read also. Give equal weightage. A small portion of picture along with what has happened. How you understand what has happened? By reading, by understanding. So, the picture should contain the written portion equally. The reader should know what is to be read. The reader should understand the importance of what is to be read. It just cannot go haywire by just looking at a picture. The picture at times does not say everything. So, the printed material or the printed media has to be considered, has to be designed very thoughtfully, friends. These were some of the disadvantages we discussed about print media, but overall if we have a look, the more of advantages and more of habit forming, more of cultural reflections are all seen through these print media, and the print media needs to be preserved equally important when we say its survivability is to be checked upon. Now, when we talk about print media, friends, the main portion covered is news articles, is the newspapers, is the magazines or the leaflets which are circulated. When we write something, it is very much authentic which is to be written. It is very much informative what we write. It should be truth what we write, especially when we talk about news. There are many ethics when we talk about journalism, when we talk about print media. What is journalism actually? Journalism, we find journalists on television also nowadays. They provide us with some type of news. They provide us with some kind of happenings in the city, in the village, in a state, in a country or around the world. So, they when deliver something, people look upon very much factfully and with complete faith and trust on them. So, when we print something, when we say about printing something, it is something which is in black and white. So, we have to understand its importance. We have to understand what faith people keep in reading or in things which we write. There are many readers or many writers to whom people love to read. Why is it so? There may be our favorite writers of some articles also, some press reporters also, some article writers also. Why it is so? Because we love to read the content of that writer. We love to read the content of that particular publisher. So, we prefer some kind of newspapers, we prefer some kind of articles, we prefer some kind of magazines. Why so? Because we feel that the content delivered by them or the content given by them is fact. It is something which we can believe upon, it is something which we can rely upon. It is something which is very much factful, and it is something which is very much happened at very particular place and we are informed about. So, the reading habits, so the reading capacities increases, the trustworthiness increases, and due to the increase in trustworthiness, we also recommend, the readers also recommend other people or the other readers, quality mass to read these articles, to read certain newspapers or to read certain magazines also, to go for opt for certain magazines. There are various fields. So, in all the fields of print media, there are some ethics to be considered. When we say ethics, what are ethics? Ethics are something that makes us right, that makes our conscious, the conscious bite of a particular writer, may it be in newspaper, may it be a press reporter, may it be somebody who is actually wanting his or her information to be printed in any kind of media. These ethics, friends, they basically allow or permits us to write something. While writing any information, while delivering any kind of information, I need to keep in mind these ethics. They are the rules and regulations of writing, which are to be followed, which are expected to be followed rather by all the print media publishers, by all the newspaper publishers, by all the press reporters who are actually writing the articles. So, these ethics of journalism allows or arises the conscience of writers. They have always an alarming sound when they write. What is that alarming sound? We are not manipulating with the content, we are actually delivering. So, what these ethics are? We shall discuss about these ethics. Let us discuss about these ethics of journalism. Let us have a look on the slide that what are these ethics actually. See, just to have a glance, it is news manipulation, truth, public interest, privacy, fantasy, taste, conflict with the law. These are just the title of ethics of information which we need to know our readers, or which we need to know as a writer of newspapers. Let us discuss one by one each of the ethics. The ethics of journalism is one of the most well defined branches of print media, primarily because it is frequently taught in the school of journalisms. Journalistic ethics tends to dominate media ethics, sometimes almost to the exclusion of other areas. Topics basically covered in newspaper and journalism ethics includes, as we just saw in the slide, first is the news manipulation. Now, what do we understand by manipulation? News manipulation is news can be manipulated, government, corporations, any public forums, they may try to manipulate news. For example, there are some censorships, there are some corporations who have their own ownerships. The methods of manipulation are subtle and many. Manipulation may be at times voluntary or involuntary. Those being manipulated may not be aware of this. When we say manipulation, why manipulation is needed? Why the people or the person who actually want their news to be fleshed, want to manipulate things. It's just because we want to show the positivity of ourselves. We just want to show the positivity of the things or happenings around us. But the print media, the journalism has full right to reflect the plus and minus of any kind of happening. The print media, the reporters, the journalists, they have to remain neutral while writing. They cannot favor somebody. They just cannot write in a positive aspect just because the person about whom you are writing needs it to be positive. This is very much important, friends. You need to remember this when we talk about ethics. What manipulation, why manipulation first of all? Just write the fact what has happened. Being a journalist, you cannot favor somebody. You have to write about the actual or the factful thing it is happening. But maximum times, I am sorry to say this, but maximum times it happens that because of our personal inclination, we write a lot. We write in excess, maybe the positive or maybe the negative. Many a times it happens that we are dragged with the flow. How do we drag with the flow? Because one person is a style icon right now, or he is maximally praised by everyone. If he does something, we cannot favor him. You being a press writer, you cannot manipulate. I am using this word again and again, you cannot manipulate. You have to put in the facts, whether it is harsh, whether it is appreciable. If it is appreciable, it is appreciated by the mass. It's not you personally who are appreciating. It's not you personally who are defaulting anything. It is just something which a mass or a class is saying. So, you put a fact, you put that fact in front of the readers. The readers will evaluate. You just have to say what the readers are opining. You just have to say how it happened. If an accident occurs, you cannot say that it was not driver's fault, it was his fault or her fault. You have to write how it happened. Let the readers decide whose fault was it. You cannot give a judgmental statement being a journalist. You have to reflect what has happened. Even if you are writing that it was driver's fault, actually the driver's fault was found. It is not that you are writing on your own. It is the policeman who is giving a statement, maybe it is the local people who are giving that statement who actually visualized the accident, who actually visualized what happened. So, manipulations are avoided in such ways. You have to put the facts, you have to put actually what has occurred. If any kind of you say religious fight is happening, these are all very much sensitive issues. Any kind of political fight is happening, any kind of casteism is happening around in a society or maybe in a city, some kind of public open meets are occurring, you have to cover that. But when you are covering those happenings, you are not supposed to give a judgmental statement. You have to write what has happened. You have to avoid manipulations. It might happen that wherever in such kind of sensitive places you visit, the people who are dominating, the people who are overpowering, they may want you to write in their favor. But a conscious journalist avoids this. He or she does not get drawn or they does not get into the flow of what is favored upon or what is being in highlight upon. You have to write the fact. You just cannot write because a person is in a power, he is in a position, he is able to spend more of money, he is able to spend more of time to your channel or promote to your newspaper. You have to take care of manipulation. You cannot manipulate, friends. You have to write what is the fact being an ethical journalist. The things can be challenged also. The things can be challenged by court, by any kind of individual reader who may be, it might happen that somebody is present when the incident occurred and what you are writing is completely contradictory. He might challenge you, or an opinion building occurs. At times the censorship bodies may challenge to the manipulations occurring. So, we need to be very conscious while writing about any particular incident. In today's session, friends, we discussed about the disadvantages and the first ethics of journalism, which is news manipulation. We shall have a enlarged discussion about the other ethics also, but in the next session. Till then, namaskar. See you in the next session.
स्वाध्याय टीवी